Hi there, welcome back to the Art of Business English podcast with your host, Andrew Ambrosius. And this is the podcast where we help people like you get the language skills that you need for doing business in English. I've got episode 208 for you today, and I'm actually doing the first part of a two-part series into essential project management vocabulary. So I'm sure that many of you work on projects. So if you do, or if you're looking to start working in the field of project management, maybe as a project administrator or a project member, then this type of language is going to be essential for you and will be very useful for you to learn. So let's dive in and take a look at my episode today on essential project management vocabulary. Now, before I do start though, I wanted to say a quick shout out to Gabby, who sent me a thank you message on my SpeakPipe channel. Thank you, Gabby. It's a pleasure to help you every week on this podcast. So I do appreciate you sending me a little message there. So anyone else who has a question or would like to send me a message, feel free. Don't be shy. Always love to hear from you guys. Okay, let's dive in and take a look at essential project management vocabulary. So projects are an essential part of any business. And I mean, if we didn't run projects, then how would we implement new ways of working or new software or, enact change within an organization? It is safe to say that whether you like it or not, you will be working on some form of a project in your working life. To be more effective, you will need to know project management lingo, and there is a lot of it. So let's look at this series or this episode into project management vocabulary and how it's going to help you express yourself and understand what people are talking about when you're working on your next project. So the first one on my list is team members. Now, team members are a person or people who are part of a project team. For example, they want good team members who can show leadership. The next one is milestones, and milestones are basically used to indicate specific progress points or events in project timelines, and they mark progress needed to complete projects successfully. For example, the rollout of fiber optic cable represented an important milestone for the project. Another one on my list is tasks, and that is a unit of work or activity needed for progress towards project goals. Commonly, tasks are required to be completed by a set date. For example, we have completed the first 3 tasks of the project on time. Another one is a Gantt chart. Now, a Gantt chart is a diagram of the stages of a piece of work. They're showing like lines on a page that basically show when and how long a task will last for and when it should be completed, and you'll have them in different colors, and they're very typical on a project. For example, the activities and their durations are entered on the Gantt chart and the end date is displayed. Another thing you'll need on a project is a task board, and a task board is an instrument that teams and companies use to organize their work and visualize the path that they need to go to achieve results and complete tasks, etc. So for example, you could say, a look at the backlog on the task board shows the team, at a glance, how far their joint project has progressed. Another one is billable task. Now, a billable task is a task that a professional does for clients and for which the clients will have to pay. So, it's a task, and when it's done, people need to pay for it. An example would be, in this case, the billable task rate is $120. Now, another one is timesheet. So a timesheet can be paper or digital, and it's a ledger on which an employee records the hours that they've worked on a project. So an example of this would be, employees working on this project must keep track of their hours on the timesheet so that the company can bill the client correctly. Another one is Burndown chart. Burndown chart. Okay, so a Burndown chart is a graphical representation of work left to be done. So this basically shows you what you need, what there is to to complete before you're going to achieve your project. So let me give you an example. The Burndown chart indicates that we will finish the project before the deadline. Okay, so the next one is project administrator. And of course, the project administrator is the person whose job it is to manage a project. So if you're a project administrator, you're a project manager. For example, in the event that not enough information is available, or there are doubts regarding its validity, the project administrator must be notified. Okay, another important one here, due date. Due date. And the due date basically means the date by which things or tasks need to be completed. For example, over 90% of the tasks on this project have a fixed due date. This ensures we complete them on time. Okay, status is another one, and the project status is basically the amount of progress a project has made towards meeting its end goal. So an example of that in practice would be every Monday, the project administrator requests a status update from the team members. Okay, another important one is action item. Action item is basically a job or a task that must be completed. So an example would be action items are usually documented in the meeting minutes and are recorded in the task section of the project management software. So it's very common to use project management software when you're managing a project. Okay, another very common word on the list is deliverable. Deliverable. Okay, that's how we pronounce it. Deliverable. And basically that is a final product or product component that must be provided to the client as part of the contractual stipulation. Now, the contractual stipulation means that these are the things that you've agreed on in the project, or these are the things you've agreed on will be delivered. That's why it's called a deliverable, delivered as part of the project. So let me give you an example. Project deliverables are defined before the project starts so that the company and client expectations are aligned. Okay, the next one on my list is handover. So a handover basically means the point at which deliverables are given to users. Okay, so users are the end client. So let me give you an example of that one. Now that we have completed the product for the client, we are ready for the official handover. So this is where, if it's software, you would give that software to the users to start using, and the end client would be the company who asked you to do the project. Okay, another one on my list is kickoff meeting. Kickoff, and this comes from football because kickoff is when you start a match. So the kickoff meeting is a typical term we use in project management, and it's the first meeting with the project team and the client. So in the kickoff meeting, you organize this first meeting to discuss all of the scope of the project and things you want to have delivered, etc., etc. So at this kickoff meeting with all of your relevant team members, we define all of the project objectives and understand your business environment. Let's move on to the next one, which is key performance indicator. Key performance indicator, and or you can say, which is very common, KPI. So we use KPI in project management speak. So the meaning of a KPI is a way of measuring a project's progress towards the goal it is trying to achieve. So an example of KPIs or key performance indicators would be project KPIs are critical for evaluating the success of project milestones and task completion. Let's look at the next one. So another one is output, and this is usually a physical end product of a process when we talk about it in the context of project management. So let me give you an example. The project output has been defined as the implementation of a working and scalable ERP system. Now, an ERP system is an enterprise resource planning system. It's often implemented as part of a project in an organization. Okay, let's look at the next one. The next one on my list is scope. And the scope of a project is basically everything that needs to be achieved for the project to be considered successful. So an example is, it is essential that we stay within the scope of the project, otherwise the billable hours will need to be renegotiated. Okay, keeping the scope, otherwise the customer will have to pay more. All right, another one on my list is worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is the most unpleasant or serious thing that could happen in a situation. So we need to think about the worst case scenario when we are working on projects so that we can prepare effectively for them. Let me give you an example. The worst case scenario would lead to a financial loss for the company. Okay, another one on my list is resources. Now, the resources are the elements needed for a project to be successfully, or for a project to successfully meet its objectives. A clear example of this would be, we will need to allocate additional resources to the project if we want to finish it on time. So maybe put more people on the project, okay? Pump in some more money. Okay, well that brings us to the end of part 1 of my 2-part series into project management vocabulary. Now, let me know if you found this vocabulary useful. Obviously, you can send me a SpeakPipe message, that would be great, or you can drop me a comment over at the blog. Always great to hear from you people. And be sure to stay tuned for next week's part 2 of the series. And before I go, don't forget to sign up to my course on business idioms. Here you will learn a whole lot more project management expressions on this course, as well as many other areas of business, from marketing to finance. Because on this course, we look at a whole bunch of business idioms for different elements or different parts of business and different departments within business context. So check it out. You can head over to the website, the Art of Business English website, and grab your copy there. It's super great value, and it's accessible price for everyone. Now that is it for me, people. I will see you all next week for part 2. Take care. Bye for now.